Today we're going to discuss the Laerdal monitor, the touchscreen monitor, and show you its various features and functions. First thing, when you come into a scenario, you're going to have a screen that looks something like this. You will need to come in and you will need to start the various functions of the monitor. First one to look for is your ECG leads. By pressing this button right here, by putting your finger on that green area, you will notice that we now have a heart rhythm and we also have a heart rate. You'll also notice that we have a level of sound coming out of the monitor. If you want to reduce that sound level, you do that by going right here to this button and you select the second set of icons in the control bar. One of them is going to be the QRS volume. You press that button and you'll notice the default is volume level 4. You want to bring that down to like a 1 or a 2. You don't want to bring it to 0 because that shuts off all sound. You still want some, but you want it to be a little less annoying. Go back to main and now you can proceed. One of the features of this monitor is the SpO2 reading or the pulse oximetry. Unlike the heart rate, you do not start that by touching the screen, but rather by attaching the pulse oximetry to the mannequin. This is a pulse oximetry receptor. It is the same as you would have in adult mannequins. This, of course, is smaller because we're working with a pediatric patient. To set up your pulse oximetry, you simply open the clamp, put it onto a finger, and please note the change in the sound on the monitor. You are now reading your pulse oximetry. Once you do that, you will start to see this reading appear. You will also see your pulse rate showing up here, and the colors are important. This reading comes from your ECG, and this reading comes from your pulse oximeter on the finger. Please note that these readings don't always stay the same, and that's because you're getting two different readings. These readings will actually be somewhat different when you're dealing with an older adult because of the decreased perfusion in extremities and fingers and toes. It won't be all that great a difference, but you might get 2 to 3 beats per minute difference. Taking a blood pressure can be done either manually from the cuff on the patient's arm, or you can also do it from the monitor. Down here is the non-invasive blood pressure reading. It states that no cuff is attached. Today I'm going to show you how to attach a blood pressure cuff to the Laerdal mannequin. We're using a pediatric mannequin today, but the principles are exactly the same with the adult SimMan or SimMan 3G. You'll notice that there is an arrow here on the cuff, and this arrow goes over the artery in the arm. We always attach to the left arm on the mannequin because that is the dry arm. The other arm is the one that contains all of the arteries and veins for doing IV inserts. So we place the arrow, as you can see here, you see the arrow placing it over the artery. I bring this up, placing this part under, and then coming up to finish my cuff thusly. All right? Now, this blood pressure cuff is designed so you can take a manual blood pressure, just like you would in a clinical setting, and you can get Khartikov sounds off of this mannequin as well as the SimMan or SimMan 3G. But today, I'm going to show you how to do the blood pressure, non-invasive blood pressure, using our touchscreen monitor. Once you've attached the cuff, then you can press this and you'll get a change in the display, and you'll also see right here is a new icon that allows you to start a blood pressure. If you think about this as being like a Dynamap, where you put the cuff on, press the button here, and it inflates the cuff and goes through the exact process to get a blood pressure, the same thing happens from these monitors. Simply press start, and it will go through and it will give you all of the sounds and actions that you would get from a Dynamap. And there's your blood pressure reading for this patient. 93/65. To take a temperature using this monitor, the first thing you're going to need to do is to turn the temperature reading on. To do that, you press right here at T Perry, and you'll notice it says that it's off. To turn it on, you simply tap the word off and it will come on. But the reading you get is not going to be the reading from your patient. It's going to be the last reading put into this system. So when I do this, I'm getting a very low reading. That's the reading that was in the system before you took any temperatures whatsoever. You can exit out of this by hitting that X. To take a temperature, you're going to use a device like this. This is a Welsh Allen Short Temp. It's exactly the same type of piece of equipment that you would use in your clinical or hospital setting. In simulation, you would take your probe, put on the shield, and you would either do it via oral or under the arm, whatever is appropriate. When you've completed it, your reading will show up on the monitor. One of the other things that you will need to know about these monitors is how to set the ranges for the alarming. If you take a look right here, we have a 96% saturation rate, but right here we have 100 as an upper bound and the lower range is set at 90. If you wanted your patient to stay above 94, you can simply press here and you'll get a reading for the lower limit. By pressing on that, you can set your lower limit at 94, and from there, if your patient drops below 94, it will alarm. Our patient has dropped below 94, so now we're getting a blinking signal here. If you notice, there's a difference in the sound and also a yellow bar indicating that your SpO2 rating is low. To silence this alarm, all you need to do is press right here. You'll notice that the color yellow is the same as this color here. So press there and it will silence the alarm. If you wanted to allow this to get that low, you can change this rating again and you can bring this down to say 92. We no longer have an alarm condition because now we're at 92, it dropped to 91. But that's how you set your alarm rates on these monitors. In certain situations, you are going to be told that you're getting lab results back and they're available on the monitor, or radiographs back and they're available on the monitor. To get to your radiographs, you simply press the button to give you the second set of icons and your radiographs show up right here. This is where you can actually get x-rays off the monitor. So in this particular case, we have 4 different radiographs. We can go to each one individually and we can look at these x-rays one at a time. going back and forth using these rocker buttons here. To close this window, simply press close here, or you can use the X up here. They function exactly the same way. Now let's talk about lab results. Sometimes you will be instructed that your lab results have come back and they're available on the monitor. To get to those, the labs button is right here. Press that button and your labs will appear. You'll notice we have two of them. Press and you will get the first page. Press this button to get to the second page. If there were more pages, you would simply continue to dial through all of the results. And just so that you know, these are printed up in PDF format, and that's why you're getting this display here from the Acrobat reader that's being used to present the information to you. Again, close can be done here or hitting the big X in the upper right-hand corner.